Welcome to the Maumee City Council meeting. It is October 7th, 6:15. Call the roll, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Huffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance. Thank you. First order of business is our committee of the whole, and I'll turn that over to President Barrow. I do have a couple of things up front, but President Barrow,
Yeah, did you want to? Okay, thank you.
I can move on that when you're ready.
Introduction of a new
Yeah.
firefighter,
Yeah.
Chris Leachman.
Yeah. Okay, welcome, Chief. Tonight, we're going to introduce a new firefighter that's been hired. This is number 6 out of, I believe, 12 that we're kind of shooting for. So we're about halfway there. And Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I would like to introduce Chris Leckman and his wife Lacey. Chris comes to us from the Swanton Fire Department. He's been in the fire service at least almost 15 years in EMS. Been 10. Sorry. And he's been very active in this area and also had experience in Kentucky. He lives in Sylvania with his wife and 4 children who aren't here today, but I'll let you go ahead and introduce your wife.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Chris Leckman. This is my wife, Lacey. We've been married for almost 7 years. We also have 4 children, all under the age of 6, and they are all very sick tonight. So they couldn't come with us, but my parents were very gracious to watch them when we came out here. Very excited to be hired by this department. It's kind of a dream job, so thank you all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I have a badge for you to give him, and she's all right. I also want to just let you guys know today that this is your new shift started today, October 7th, with our new shift structure and our entire A shifts here, except for paramedic Fournier. He's on a Kelly day, but came out in support of Chris and new position. Thank you.
Great.
Welcome, guys. All set?
Anything further?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good.
And welcome, A-Shift, Lieutenant Williams. Appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, before we get any further into the agenda, President Barrow, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read a proclamation.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I thought this was important. I was approached by several citizens that they would like to get this message out, and I thought it was very important too. I think you've seen a lot of love your neighbor signs kind of throughout the city, and that's kind of like where these have generated from. So I thought it was important to make a proclamation relative to the Intentional Acts of Kindness Week that is from October 29th to November 4th, which is leading up to Election Day. Whereas the Neighbor to Neighbor Initiative Toledo Coalition is encouraging and promoting kindness and respect of the dignity of every person through its scheduled activities through the fall of 2024. The Neighbor to Neighbor Initiative is all about love. Love your neighbor as yourself, even those who vote differently than you. Whereas one of the activities the Neighbor to Neighbor Initiative is sponsoring is an Intentional Acts of Kindness Week from October 29 to November 4, which will encourage simple and meaningful acts of kindness and compassion between neighbors and others. Whereas the spirit of kindness enriches our community and fosters harmony amongst its residents, and whereas Intentional Acts of Kindness Week from October 29 to November 4 promotes acts of compassion, empathy, and goodwill towards others, cultivating a culture of kindness that transcends borders and backgrounds. And whereas kindness has the power to uplift spirits, strengthen bonds, and create positive change in our society. Whereas the City of Maumee recognizes the value of acts of kindness that are performed without prompting or reason, and how these acts can positively impact the person offering kindness, the person receiving kindness, and those witnessing it as well. Whereas acts of kindness can be performed by any person in the city of Maumee regardless of age, origin, education, gender, religious beliefs, lifestyle, or abilities for the good around them. Whereas kind individuals can create a more caring community and help to perpetuate genuine acts of kindness within their city, state, and even the world. Whereas promoting kindness aligns with the values of the city of Maumee and nurturing and supportive and inclusive environment for all citizens. Whereas acts of kindness, whether small or grand, contribute to building a more connected and resilient community. Whereas recognizing Intentional Acts of Kindness Week from October 29 to November 4 serves as a reminder of our collective responsibility to spread kindness in our daily lives. And whereas fostering kindness extends to welcoming tourists, part-time residents, creating bonds and relationships that strengthen the fabric of our community, and ensuring that all who visit Maumee feel valued and respected. Whereas treating our community with kindness helps protect its infrastructure and natural beauty, ensuring that Maumee remains a cherished place for future generations. Now, therefore, I, James McDonald, Mayor of the City of Maumee, do hereby proclaim October 29, 2024 through November 4, 2024 as an Intentional Acts of Kindness Week in Maumee. I encourage all citizens to participate in acts of kindness, compassion, and generosity towards others throughout this week and beyond. Further, I urge our community to extend these acts of kindness to their neighbors, businesses, schools, police, other drivers, visitors, employees in Maumee, tourists and residents, and part-time residents, building lasting relationships that enhance the spirit of Maumee. Let's blanket our community with acts of kindness. Let's create positive neighborly interactions. Let's remind anyone to love their neighbor. Let's lift the spirits at election sites. Let's build a kinder, gentler neighborhood. Signed, James McDonald. Thank you, President Barrett.
Thank you. Continuing on, now we have the agenda in front of you. If there's any questions or comments that we would like to have. Anybody have?
I have two.
Okay, Councilman Lineback.
First question I have is for our finance director. One of the items on the agenda tonight has to do with a contract with Promo for tree planting and maintenance services. But I was wondering, what's the source of those funds, and are there any legal restrictions on how those funds must be used?
The tree planting is paid out of our general fund, which is supported by Income Tax A.
Okay, so no restrictions. I have a second question.
Sure, go ahead, thank you.
Thank you, President. This is for Councilwoman Puffenberger as Chair of the Finance Committee. I did read in the Finance Committee notes, what took place at the Finance Committee. And I mentioned it because at our last meeting on September 16th, I requested that the Finance Committee revisit the facade loan grant program and, see if there's anything that, people think might need to be changed. It happened quicker than I thought. You had a meeting, as I understand, already scheduled on the 20th, and so it was brought up at that meeting. And I read again in the meeting minutes that it was voted. There were no changes needed at the time. I was just curious: did anyone present express any concerns, not about the intent of the program, but about how grant amounts are determined?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
I don't see it in the notes. Not that I recall, but.
Okay. Well, because both of my questions, they're dealing with spending, city spending, spending your money, our money. And while the city is responsible for doing a lot of things, we've planted trees, we take care of our parks, we deliver services, I believe the city has one overriding concern above all those, and that's resolving our sanitary sewer problem. We know it's going to be expensive, so I'm thinking we should be allocating as many of our discretionary funds as we have available to address that specific problem, which is the sanitary sewers. We know personnel costs are going to be going up as we address those issues. Some materials and supplies are going to be going up. So I think we need to be distinguishing between some of our needs and our wants at this time. And spending on any of the non-essential goods and services, things that, in my opinion, fall under the wants and not necessarily the needs, we should curtail some of those non-essential ones for the time being and direct those funds towards sewer fixes. Some of the proposed spending activities, I think, they're well-intentioned and they make a lot of sense. I think the timing is not good. I think we need to wait for a more fiscally opportune time to undertake some of those and stay focused on the sewers.
Thank you. Anybody, any
I
other,
wasn't intending, for any of that. I just wanted to share those thoughts about spending.
any other thoughts on this topic? I would like to add a little something. I'm sorry, go ahead, Margot.
I don't agree. I was telling my husband before I came tonight that I see it as if you drop one of your paddles when you're pedaling on the boat and you turn circles if you're only concentrating on one thing. You have to still be able to do all the things you need to do at the city along with a huge focus and spending on the sewer situation, which we have been doing. I mean, the huge focus of everyone has been trying to solve and figure out how to best solve the sewer system. But we also have a lot of other things that we need to do at the same time. And a huge source of the money that we get for all those things is through income tax, which is not something that is then going to get spent on the sewer project. I mean, it's just it's the way our funds are set up and spent. But income tax is our big source to do all the things we need to do, and improvement of any infrastructure is important at attracting and keeping businesses, which have employees, which give us our income taxes. So seeing the way that a program like that helps communities with revitalizing their towns, especially in old historic areas, because it takes a little extra something to keep those buildings up, I think is very important. So,
Thank you, Marco Puffenberger. And I'd like to add on the same, I also disagree with that, because the facade grants, what they've done is they help spur economic development. And I know you hear that a lot from us, but in the last 5 years I've been on council, the new businesses and people investing in Maumee has gone straight up, much like house values have gone up all over the country, especially Maumee. When you give a facade grant, it encourages that business owner to put it back into his business, and the community is part of that. That's why we can do it, because it's public use. It takes care of endangered properties. It gives them an incentive to do things to upgrade their property. Maybe they wouldn't have. There's quite a few people who have already taken advantage of this program, and we've looked at it. We've looked at the finances. We've spoken with the finance director. We've gone it pretty thoroughly, and a portion of it is on a loan. It's not a grant. It's a loan/grant, and some of those percentages are paid back. But I support it fully. Thank you. Were there any more questions about anything on the agenda? Seeing none, Dr. Birch.
I'd like to make just a quick observation. Having met with CMAQ a couple times, we have a meeting with them tomorrow. I think we may have a solution that's viable within our reach for the sewer issue. When you're talking $80 to $120 million, 30 to 60 doesn't seem like a lot of money. In terms of what impact that would make over spending $100 million to fix a sewer problem without adjusting your rate, which is probably what will be proposed. I'm not sure at some point, like Councilwoman Puffenberger said and what you said, and in deference to Councilman Leinbach, I think at some point, my job is economic development. If we stop spending money on economic development, we're going to go down a rabbit hole that none of us want. This is part of an economic development project. When you lower the grant amounts to the point where you give a grant that doesn't impact whether somebody does a job or not, means you've wasted your money. So often I've been involved $40, $50 million of grant programs, and I get really irritated, like we did at the JEDS meeting. We were giving jobs grants for people who were investing $36 million, and we were giving them $12 grand as a grant. That did not have an impact about whether they invested that money in our community. At some point, the grant has to make a difference. And I want to kind of give you an idea of where the grant amount came from. I think Mr. Leinbach asked that question of the grant amount was determined is looking at a facade of an Italianate architecture building, and if I were to replace the windows historically correct, tuck point the front of the building and paint it, that's about $80,000. So I backed out of it by a 30% match. It took you down to a 60 total match. Now, there have been people who have taken advantage of the program to the tune of 47 to 36 grand. Those are Jackie's Depot, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Tony Pauken, and also by Bill Anderson. At Dale's has also taken advantage of that program. I think those programs were necessary to make those facade renovations happen, because they wouldn't have been done otherwise. So I just want to make it clear where that number came from, why there's a max of 60. But remember, the grant program says you have to put 30% total. So if you have a $30,000 project, you subtract out 18%, that's what they pay. And then you have, depending on the amount you pay back over 5 years, a higher amount, the more money you actually lend. So it's a grant loan program. So just want to clarify.
Thank you. Mayor McDonald?
Yeah, thank you. The facade grant obviously does spur economic growth in our city, and it is important to give incentive pieces to businesses, especially in historic districts that we have, and we've had some people that have taken advantage of it. And also, as we're looking at Wayne Street the next coming years, there's a lot of facades over there that needs improving as part of our Uptown project. The grant, or the sewer funds, is an enterprise fund. Therefore, the money needs to come from sewer funding. I think it's very detrimental to paralyze other funds in the city, and because of something that we think we can have a plan for and moving forward. We've seen some properties that have turned over in the Uptown area that have gotten top money because of the city's willingness and commitment to improve the Uptown area and offer some sort of incentive pieces. And we had an investor that's taken over 3 storefronts on West Wayne and is going to develop those because of such things as the facade grant and the development in the Uptown area. And we've had some anchors uptown here that that probably would not have done anything to their building had there not been some sort of an incentive piece. And some of it is required to get paid back. So moving forward for the future of Maumee, I think it's a very important piece, and I appreciate council's commitment to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. This concludes Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Next up is citizen comments. We have 3 that have come forward. Valerie Giovanucci. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you.
Yep.
Valerie Giovanucci, 628 Midfield Drive. I'm going to address a couple things. First of all, if the police were charging individuals for breaking the law instead of falsely accusing citizens of criminal charges, maybe unsafe behavior would stop. One is something that I've already been up to the administrative offices and complained about, and Nancy was there that day, and that is the workers in the city that are driving the front-end loaders full of gravel, running the stop signs at Gibbs and Williams. I've witnessed it more than once, and when I mentioned it to Nancy, there was a gentleman in the office that also said that he witnessed the same thing. Needless to say, I witnessed it again this week. Front-end loader running right through Elizabeth, down off of Broadway, running the stop sign. So to me, I feel like if the police were actually charging people who were breaking the law instead of falsely accusing citizens of other things. Cars parking on streets with double yellow lines, causing me to break the law, to go over the double yellow line to get around them. So, and that was an issue before this was all done over here with the parking spaces right in front of the church there. It's still taking place over on Cambridge Park, or is that Chesterfield, that it turns into Chesterfield off of Cass. And I think my main concern is the fact that you know, we want our children to be safe on Halloween, then things like this need to be addressed because it is a dangerous practice for this individual. It's the same individual driving that front-end loader with full of gravel, running the stop signs. So I think it's important that it needs to be addressed.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Miss Amy Pauken? 3 minutes, if you just give your address, please.
609 West Broadway Street.
Thank you.
A lot of this has already been addressed, but I just want to bring it up again. The facade grant really confuses me. If this is taxpayer money, why don't the taxpayers have a say in how it gets spent? I get economic development. My uncle is probably one of the best economic developers that there is, but it has to go hand in hand. You can't put lipstick on a pig. If our foundation is cracking, all the beautiful facades in the neighborhood aren't going to make a damn bit of difference. So we're offering these grants, loans, where sometimes they only pay back up to $6,000, correct? They pay $100 a month, from my understanding?
Yep.
Why are these not opened up to everybody? We have dilapidated houses that people can't fix. Are they able to apply for grants as well? Are they able to get, pay back that as well? Or is it only businesses? I mean, I get that we need to grow. I hail from Port Clinton, Ohio. That was a tourist town. It's a beautiful town. We like economic development, but if we don't have them both hand in hand, we're going to have economic development, but nobody to go to these places. And I just really want to thank Phil, because I believe it was at the last meeting. You said even the people with the Trapped in Maumee signs love Maumee, and they do. I've only been here a very short time. I'm a transplant, but I love this place. I've met people that I have never have met if it weren't for all of this. And we have good people, but we need to build on a foundation. We can't let it crack and crumble and only worry about the businesses. We have to worry about the people in it too. And we have a lot of elderly. I can't tell you how many elderly or young families that I deliver food to in a week. Or I send my husband over to fix something at their house. We have a beautiful blessing back here that makes sure that our elderly, not just in Maumee, but everywhere, can get the medical supplies and equipment that they need. So I get that we need to help these businesses, but we need to help the people too. Can't we open it up to them as well? Just my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last is Ryan Spangler. Chief, could you help him with the microphone, please?
Hi, my name's Ryan. I'm at 1417 Shepherd Drive. I wanted to come tonight to just show support and appreciation to the council. And also, I would like to encourage people that it's going to be time to vote here soon, and there's different issues and stuff that are up. And I just want to remind people that when you go to vote, you can't always necessarily go just thinking like, well, I'm going to vote on this because something else may not apply to you. I want to remind people that if it's important enough to be on the ballot and to be an issue, then for being a good community, it's important for everybody to be heard and everybody to vote on it, whether it's one way or the other, And I'm not here to try and politic what's one way or the other or how I support, but other than just to encourage the community to be heard, And also, lastly, I want to bring up that at the last meeting, there was some behavior that just wasn't very well. It didn't look good for us, And there was even somebody that even said some rude things to Lauren, and, I don't appreciate. But, if these meetings aren't for that, if you just want to sit here and mumble negative stuff under your breath, then, you can sit at home and watch a meeting on Facebook, because there's a little piece of paper over there that you fill out, And if you want to speak, then get up here and talk and be heard, but don't be rude to your neighbors that you're sitting beside. They come up here and do want to be a part of, and be proactive with the city. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ren.
Thank you, Ron.
That concludes citizen comments, and we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to modify the agenda, if I may. To move, and the motion would be to move consent calendar items F and G to new business, as 11D and 11E.
Are you finished?
I'm done.
I would second Councilman Lineback's motion to move those two items, F and G.
Okay, the motion is to move consent calendar F and G into new business as items D and E.
Excuse me, Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
Do we have discussion on that, or is that?
Yes, yeah, that's the motion.
Oh,
Okay, and yes,
Okay.
discussion, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I would ask for what reason?
Do we have a second? I'm sorry, Mr. Kirk, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, discussion, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the reason is so that any of the items in the consent calendar that have a direct financial impact, like the contract that I mentioned, the facade grants, that those can just be voted on separately and not part of the rest of the items on the consent calendar.
Anything further?
Well, so wouldn't F also have a direct financial impact since we're new positions?
Second F.
Sorry.
I'm not moving to.
Oh, yeah, the H, I guess H.
Sorry.
It's wrongly put on my paper as F. I mean, that,
It'll be F now, though.
if that's the reasoning, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, the second F is actually H.
Yeah, H. sorry.
Yes. Any other further discussion on the motion before we approve the agenda? Yes, Mr.
I
Noonan?
just want to put it on record that going forward, if we're going to make adjustments to the agenda, we can do that in committee of the whole. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
If I just may, I don't know if there's a point of order. I was unclear whether that should happen in committee of the whole. If that's the place, at one time in the past, I was told to do it when we adopt the agenda, but Councilman Noonan, if that's the place to do it, I will do it in the future. If I need to do it, I will do it during committee of the whole.
Thank you. Just because, sorry, can I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. Just because we were just about to do a motion to approve the agenda, so I just wanted to make sure that we're following Robert's Rules of Order, right? So if we do that in committee of the whole, we kind of know going in to that motion of the agenda, whether it's revised or not. That's all.
Yeah, any adjustments to the agenda or discussion of the agenda items, I do believe should be in committee of the whole.
Okay.
Moving forward. Yeah.
Noted. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
And just one more thing, like, don't we have the ability, if we would like to move one of these, can we reach out to President Barrow or either of you and do it before the meeting? We don't have to go through this whole dog and pony show.
Yes.
Just to
Yes.
make it a little quicker and.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. That's an
That's
option.
good.
That's an option, too.
Good knowledge to have. Thank you.
Yep. All right, motion on the floor to move consent items F and G to new business as D and E. Call the roll.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
And then a motion to approve the agenda as revised.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I move to approve the agenda as revised.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Call the roll.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Approval of the meeting minutes on September 16th. We need a motion for that, please. Mr. Fiskus.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I move to approve regular meeting minutes of September 16th, 2024.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will second that motion.
We'll call the roll on the meeting minutes from September 16th.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback,
Yes.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Petitions and communications, I don't believe we need a motion on either one of these items, actually. This is just a communication piece. Just letting the community know that our neighborhood trick-or-treating will be Halloween night, October 31st, from 6 PM to 8 PM. And also, I believe we're going to let the media outlets and the schools know we did that today. Okay. And also, I do believe that MUBA is also having their Uptown Trick-or-Treat Business Night on Tuesday, October 29th, from 3 PM to 5 PM. And I understand if a business wants to participate, that they put a pumpkin in their window, and that's usually a pretty well-attended community event by the kiddos in Maumee. So that would be on, the MUBA Uptown is Tuesday, October 29th, from 3P to 5P. I do believe there's also a trunk or treat at Appliance Center, but I'm not sure of the date on that. If somebody can help me on that. The 22nd, October 22nd evening, October 22nd, and that's at Appliance Center. Plenty of candy for the kiddos this year, that's for sure.
And Mayor, I think we usually do a motion to accept the petitions and communications.
Okay, let me explain one more thing, and then we'll vote on it. Thank you, Law Director. Also, we have a report from the Finance Committee. We're going to place that on file, meeting from September 20th. Is there any further discussion on that from the Chair of the Finance Committee?
I will note that we did look at the facade program and read over it and discussed it, and didn't see any need for changes, all except for a very slight change to the worksheet from our finance director, just to make things move a little more clear.
Any other further discussion on that? I need a motion to accept the petitions and communications.
I'll move to do so, accept those petitions.
Thank you. And a second?
I would second that motion.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Lineback,
Yes.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
And next is our consent calendar. We'll have a motion to approve and a second, and then we'll discuss these. Mr. Fiskus.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve all consent calendar items.
Mr. Noonan.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. A quick description of consent calendar. City Council has examined each item on the consent calendar, proposed legislation and other items set forth on this agenda that involves the expenditure of public funds, use of public property, or use of the City of Maumee resources, and have determined and find that any action or expenditure set forth in these items would be for and serve a public purpose as defined by Ohio law, and that the expenditure and/or use of public property would be for the general good of the residents and taxpayers of the City of Maumee and the general public, and promotes the public health and general welfare of the citizens of the City of Maumee and the general public. And on B, we have a recommendation from myself and the Finance Director, authorize approval of an agreement with Lucas County Commissioners for the use of the Lucas County Electronic Monitoring Program. This is an expenditure that the court uses, electronic monitoring for people that on probation. Next is a recommendation from the city administrator authorizing and updating the rules and regulations for Riverside Cemetery and allow the veterans' graves to be cleaned. I'd just like to give a little bit of a synopsis of Riverside Cemetery and why and how this person has come forward. Riverside Cemetery is older than the city itself. As records show, the first burial was in 1835, but the village of Maumee was not incorporated until 3 years later in 1838. The first person to be buried in the cemetery was William Smith, a 3-year-old son of J.W. and V.E. Smith. That was on August 8th of 1935. Or 1835. Two persons were buried in 1836, James Jackson, 75, on February 4th, and Amos Clark, who was 15 years old, son of Elijah and M. Clark, on September 13. Although the cemetery opened in 1835, it was 1900 before the village began issuing deeds to lot owners, which we still do to this day. The first deed transferred 4 lots of graves each to Maumee Lodge number 682, independent order of the Oddfellows, and it was priced at $1 per lot in that year. Shortly after, the price was raised to $5, and by the time deeds numbered 3 and 4 issued in the fall of 1900, the price was up to $10 per lot. The cemetery is managed and maintained by the city of Maumee and the public service. The gentleman that's come forward in his business, is Remember Veteran Grave Markers Incorporated, or RVGM. It's done by Dr. James Phillips. He does not charge for fixing the gravestones down there. It is a public charity which focuses on the awareness and education on government-issued veteran headstones only and grave markers located on municipal and private cemeteries in Lucas County. So he petitioned us, and we looked at it and looked into it as to exactly what was involved and how he did it, that he wasn't going to ruin any of the old stones that were there. The prerequisite is it has to be a government-owned stone. It doesn't cost the city anything. He's a charity business that takes donations. He's been doing this for quite some time and has people that come forward that offer to support his endeavors. So we will take him up on that. We feel that's very important, and we'll monitor that as we're moving forward. Any other information or discussion on that from anybody else?
No, but I think, excuse me, thank you, Mayor. I just think it's a great idea, great concept.
Okay, thank you.
And I wanted to note in the process,
Yes.
that we're essentially doing the first item, which is gain permission from the cemetery or the family. So then he goes on to identify the government-furnished veteran grave marker or headstone, determine the condition of the marker, create a cleaning plan, document your work, and then inform the cemetery of the results. So I look forward to seeing the results after he's done.
I believe we do have some Civil War markers down there too as well. Look forward to see how that turns out. Item D is a recommendation from the city administrator authorizing the mayor or the city administrator to submit renewal of government aggregation electric certification to the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. Any comment on that, Mr.
No, both this item and the next are dealing with a company that negotiates on behalf of citizens to get a lower rate because they get together. If anybody in the audience hasn't opted out, you are in the aggregation by Palmer Energy, which means you've received a negotiated rate for electrical and gas service. That covers both agenda items, sir.
Okay, so that also explains E. And then F and G were moved, and we're down to the new F, or H, or the new F. It's a recommendation from the Personnel Committee. Mr. Noonan, any discussion on that?
Yeah, do you want me to just read this and then
Sure.
clarify? Or
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor McDonald. Essentially, this recommendation from the Personnel Committee is to approve project supervisor job descriptions for 2 new positions in the Service Division, an additional 5 positions in the Sewer Divisions, reclassify service supervisors, and assistant supervisors to grade 2 and grade 3 and 2 respectively, and reclassify the capital projects manager and engineering inspection manager to range 5 and 4 respectively. Just to add to that, the Personnel Committee met to talk about these positions, and the necessity to it. There were a couple of members from the CMAC that were citizens there, and just wanted to reiterate that every position was discussed, and it was all properly made. Motion was made, seconded, and they're all unanimous. So just wanted to clarify that too.
Thank you, Mr. Birch.
Yeah, I just want to make clear that if you approve these tonight, these take effect January 1st, 2025, except for the positions that were created, which have to happen, but the reclassifications will not happen until the first of the year.
Anything further from council on this? Okay, can I get a motion, Mr. Noonan, please? Or no, I'm sorry, we're in consent calendar, my bad. So we have a motion to approve all consent calendar items in a second. Anything further? Okay, call the roll on that, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Hoffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
We have no other business, new business. We have 5 items. On A, as a recommendation from the mayor to approve Resolution 20-2024, a resolution authorizing support for Project I Am 2025. Mr. Noonan, I need two motions for that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor McDonald. First, I would like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes. Before we approve the extra resolution, I'm going to yield to Brian in the audience. I don't know if you're willing to say anything about Project I Am, or about this year, or last year, or maybe any thoughts?
Oh, definitely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Project I Am, we're in our 18th year, so we thank the City of Maumee for accommodating us for the past 17 years. We've grown from a very small event at the Village Idiot to last year having nearly 25,000 people attend the event. We raised total income over $360,000, and we've given $280,000 just this past year to families in need, many here in the Maumee area, and over the past 17 years, over $1 million. We couldn't do it without the city's help. And we not only have national, but now international recognition and interest in this organization and in the city of Maumee. Just to let everybody know, if you haven't already heard, there's a television program called Viewpoint, hosted by Dennis Quaid. Their crew was in the city about 2 months ago and filmed an episode for an upcoming date. We don't know what date it's going to be on yet, but they went through and interviewed many of the families that we benefit and some of the businesses here in the area, and did a really good filming of the Maumee area. Much appreciated in the city for all their help.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Noonan, continue. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will make a motion to approve Resolution 020-2024, a resolution authorizing support for Project I Am 2025.
And I will second that motion.
Thank you. We'll call the roll on Resolution 20.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes. Item B is a recommendation from the city administrator approving Resolution 21-2024, supporting the Ohio Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial, which I believe is July of 26. And that's, this is kind of given to communities whether they're willing to support the national efforts that are going to move forward in July of 2026 for the semi-quincentennial. So we need a motion to waive and approve, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I would like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
No, excuse me, thank you, Mayor, I would second that.
Thank you. I'll call the roll.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
No.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
And approval?
Oh, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 021-2024, a resolution supporting the Ohio Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial.
Well said.
And that was,
Thank you. Call the roll.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
yes.
Item C is a recommendation from the city administrator approving Resolution 22-2024, a resolution to approve the Lucas County Hazard Mitigation Plan and declare an emergency. We need 2 motions on this, please. First of all, is there any discussion on this? Any additional comments, additional information?
I think Gina Shell was part of the group that met to update the ongoing hazard mitigation plan that's been in effect for a number of years within Lucas County, if I'm correct.
Okay.
So it's just an update to the plan to deal with any other issues that may have arisen that they didn't recognize in the prior plan.
And all communities that are involved basically have to provide resolutions of support.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And,
Yes.
Gina, was it also, I thought I saw one of the few changes was air quality as a result of the Canadian wildfires from last year? Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion, 2 motions on this, please. Yes, Mr. Barrow?
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I move to suspend the rules and declare an emergency.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will second that motion.
Call the roll.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Linebach,
Yes.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes. And I move to approve Resolution 22-2024, a resolution to approve the Lucas County Hazard Mitigation Plan and declare an emergency.
And I will second that motion.
Call the roll, please.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Linebach,
Yes.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
The next item is a recommendation from the city administrator to authorize a contract with Maumee Promo LLC for fall tree planting and maintenance at various locations throughout the city in the amount of $44,500. Any discussion on that?
Well,
Yes.
do we need to do a suspend the rules and declare an emergency?
I don't believe so. I think just a
Just a
Just a
motion.
motion to approve.
But this is a contractor that we've used sometimes, Matt Fry from here, it's his company, is Promo.
Yes. Anything further on that? We'll call the roll.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Well,
Do we have
Harris?
to-
We didn't make a motion.
We didn't make a
Oh,
motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thought you did.
I'll make the motion for, what is this, 11E,
Yes.
authorizing.
D.
Excuse me, D, to authorize contract with Maumee Promo LLC for fall tree planting and maintenance at various locations throughout the city in the amount of $44,500.
Mr. Kurt, would you second that?
I will second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll call the roll.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Linebach,
No.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Thank you, council, for approving the necessary cutting of grass around our city. Appreciate that. We'll go to the next one, recommendation from the city administrator approving the facade grant for Clara J's in the amount of $60,000.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will move to approve the facade grant for Clara J's in the amount of $60,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We'll call the, any discussion on that? Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call the roll.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Kurt,
No.
Linebach,
No.
Noonan,
Yes.
Puffenberger,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on. There is no old business. And just a couple comments. I would like to congratulate 4 young men that did earn the level of Eagle Scout at the St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Aiden Ward, Elijah Moore, Isaac Farley, and Matthew Mullins, under the supervision of Scoutmaster Jeff Ward and Assistant Scoutmaster Kylie Moore. Achieving an Eagle Scout is a lot of work, and it's a lot of commitment. And for 4 young men to do that all at once and have projects that benefited the city, I congratulate them for their efforts, and also St. Paul's for sponsoring a really good leadership type program there. Also, I would like to thank all those that have been involved so far in the cleanup of Epstein Park. It's in the middle of Arrowhead Park. It was completely overgrown with invasive species. It was not usable at all. It's kind of in the middle of a wooded area off of Woodlands, and we've had some volunteer efforts that have kind of spearheaded with Mr. Birch and some others that have made a big difference out there and produced some canopy for thriving trees and getting rid of some invasive stuff that it can be now used in the future. So thank you to all the efforts that have been out there. Those will be continuing, I understand, in the next couple of weeks. It is a city park. Most people do not know where it is, but it is in the middle of the woods out in Arrowhead there, surrounded by businesses, and the city does own it. It was in in need of a lot of attention. So thank you for those who have stepped forward and put their volunteer efforts to help with that. On Saturday, September 28th, I did attend the St. Luke's commemorative program. It was sponsored by Mercy, where they were officially recognizing all the employees from St. Luke's that used to work there, nursing staff, doctors, medical staff, support volunteers. There was over 300 people there. They filled the auditorium and ran into a lot of people that I knew there from not only my old police days when we used to frequent the ER quite a bit, but also just administrative people that I came to know that were there for many, many, many years. It's sad in a way that we're going to lose a hospital in the local area here, but competition and the way that whole thing kind of came about, this was the end result of it. I know there's talk about what that's going to look like in the future from Mercy, and nothing is definitive at this point. But it was a very moving ceremony, and it was kind of like they did the last call on the EMS channel of the fire band, which was very moving, and took the flag down and presented it to the CFO of Mercy as the last lowering of the flag. It was a good ceremony. It went on for a couple hours. There was a lot of really good information and speeches that were made. Also, this Wednesday, homecoming parade in Maumee. It's going to go from the Maumee Middle School down Sackett Street, across Key to Craig, and then left on Craig, and then enter into the high school on Fort Street. So that will begin at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll have a homecoming parade. And the boys' football team is doing quite well this year, so I'm hoping for good things for them. And we'll move on to the next council member, Mr. Fiskus.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. A few events I wanted to recognize. 2 weekends ago, I was unable to attend. I was out of town, but the Maumee Film Fest returned. Everything I heard from it was great reviews. And our theater manager, Sarah Iden, was presented with the Glassy Award for all that she has done to help bring it back and keep it thriving. I had the homecoming parade as well. I think it's actually starting at the intermediate school. Okay.
Yeah,
my school, not the middle school.
My bad. Yeah.
Just so nobody goes down there and gets disappointed when they miss a parade.
You are absolutely correct.
The
Thank
Old
you.
Wayne Trail.
I stand corrected.
Old Wayne Trail for anyone who's...
Wayne Trail, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. You are right.
Last weekend was the autumn market at the Walcott House. It was a really fun event, lots of neat vendors. My boys enjoyed the giant caterpillar. Some people did not like it. The Music in Motion for the marching band is next Saturday, October 19th. There are 18 bands scheduled to be there, possibly more added because as the season goes on, more bands need to qualify for state competition, but it starts at 4:30 at the high school stadium. Maumee will be going on about 9:15, and the last band is actually going to be the UT Rocket Marching Band, so it's cool that they're coming to that. And then I'll be getting together with council members Puffenberger and Noonan. We're going to schedule a public information committee meeting, and as soon as we have that date set, we will put it out there so everyone knows. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. Two things. First of all, congratulations to our newest firefighter, Chris Leckman. I know he's going to do a good job and a good asset here in the community. Secondly, I just want to remind everyone as we're approaching Veterans Day, if you remember last year, the Chamber of Commerce, we wanted to honor our veterans, and we had a goal in mind of helping going to the houses of 50 veterans and just showing our appreciation to them. We ended up, I think 212 was the final number of veterans we were able to go and meet with and have lengthy discussions and talks about the times that they were in. And this year we're going to do our second annual rendition of that. So I want to make sure that if there's any veterans out there or anyone that you know, if they weren't on the list last year, I'd really like you guys to direct them to the Chamber of Commerce this year. You can get a hold of them, 419-893-5805. So we want to try to increase our numbers from last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would also congratulate the new firefighter, and I welcome Chris to service here in Maumee in our fire service. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Leinbach.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I know you mentioned that the Intentional Act of Kindness Week is not official until late October to early November, whatever those dates were, but it came to my attention, some people who were getting a jump on that this past week. They were driving their car down River Road and saw an older couple trying to get some things, I think it was from the Wolcott House, into the back of their car, and they were really struggling, and the car just wasn't even big enough. So this person, I know they stopped to help, offered, hey, I can put some of that other stuff in my car, and that's what they did. They drove it home, followed the people home, and I think that's just one example of many things that go on in our town, and the more the merrier. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Noonan.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I just wanted to reiterate everybody else's words and congratulations to the new firefighter. That'll be it. Thank you.
Mrs. Puffenberger.
Thank you. I have a few things. We have some events coming up through the Environmental and Tree Advisory Commission. We are going to have an invasives to natives talk on October. It's a two-part talk. So October 24th at 6 p.m. at the Maumee Library. We'll have someone from the Metro Parks putting on a presentation about invasives, and then have a talk on November 7th at 6 p.m. at the library, and we'll have a representative from our local chapter of the Wild Ones doing a talk about natives. So kind of to piggyback on what Mayor McDonald mentioned about Epstein Park cleanup, and then also the invasive removal from down by the river. We've got a lot of honeysuckle in particular and buckthorn. Epstein Park had a lot of buckthorn. I went and walked out there with Patrick and John Fiskus not too long ago. And we've compiled some information sheets that the city has. If you are interested in learning more about some of the invasive species that we struggle with in our area. But I do encourage you to come to these talks and learn more about how you have to remove those invasives so that you can allow for the native plants to come back and provide proper habitat, meaning shelter, food, water, and all that for the local wildlife. We're also planning to do a tree documentary at the Maumee Indoor in January. We had a great event with our Common Ground movie that was shown at the end of September. We also plan to do a rain barrel workshop in March. So those are all things that we are planning. I am thankful for our proclamation for the Week of Kindness. It's perfect timing, and I think that's a great thing to do a proclamation for and encourage for our community to follow. I'm really excited. I don't know about you guys about driving around town and seeing some of the renovations. Wayne is going to look amazing. We've got, the candy shop that's going to be doing enhancements. We've got the Mirror that's working on their facade enhancements. The Cookie Place, Claire J's. It's gonna look really, really great when they're all completed. Don't forget that early voting starts tomorrow. You can do that at our new early voting center. It's no longer in downtown. It's on Sylvania. And I also went to the autumn market this weekend, and it was really great to see so many people on the grounds. It was nice to see it so activated. Everyone seemed to have a really great time. It was perfect weather for it too. And if anyone's interested in a community garden plot, we have a few available after expanding. We doubled our plots this past year. So you can contact me if you're interested. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Barrow.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. A couple of weeks ago, the Habitat store, the Restore on Conant Street, had their celebration. I think, 17 or 18 years. I forgot exactly what it was now. But what I didn't know about this, the Restore, they actually people donate lots and lots of items to that store. And the money they generate is homes they build for needy people around the communities. And it was amazing to hear that they actually netted around a little bit over $1 million last year. And there's lots of big stores that give to them. Home Depot, Lowe's, lots of places donate brand new items to them because they have so much to give, and this is a better place for it. So if you have something in decent condition, that's a great way to clean out the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Last item is an executive session. We'll need, oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Birch. Administrator comments? Yes, thank you.
Just have a couple things.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Speaking of invasives, I asked John if he can put a group together this Saturday to work on the buckthorn that we have, still a big problem. And if anybody can make it, anybody in the audience wants to do it too, we meet out at, there's a parking lot next to ground penetrating radar that we go.
Woodland?
Or Woodland, there's a couple of entrances there. You can actually drive a vehicle back there if you've got a truck or something. We've got a number of buckthorn trees that have to be removed. They're small, invasive trees about this size. There's a bunch of that to be happening because we want to do that because we've authorized a preliminary layout to show people what that park will look like when the paths are through there and you have other structures and some low-level lighting perhaps. So we need to be able to get it cleared out enough to where the surveyors can get in there and do their work. Second of all, we have, just want to clarify to Val, in all due respect, Val, our traffic laws are a little bit different in Ohio than they are in some other states. There's an exemption for construction equipment. I do want to make very clear, though, that it's the downtown contractor that's roaming around here. It's not, I don't think you meant it was city employees. It wasn't. And they're hauling stone. We make sure that when they do haul stone, even though they're exempt from the traffic laws in terms of they're exempt, they're allowed to travel on our streets, provided they're rubber tire or rubber track. We don't want somebody with a dozer track going on asphalt roads. But also they have right-of-way at the stop sign, except for pedestrians, right? What we don't want them to do, and I've had to stop them a couple of times, when they stop quickly, they're dropping stone out of the bucket, and I make them clean it up. But I just wanted you to be aware that that was happening. We are enforcing that to the extent we can. Thirdly, we have a special meeting, I think council's aware of this, I've talked to you, on October 28th. It'll be in the evening, we don't have a time yet, because there's a planning commission meeting where we have to finagle, but that October 28th special meeting of council is for the purpose of hearing a presentation of a rather large economic development project in the city. And at that point, there'll be a couple resolutions and an ordinance that we have to pass if you want to go forward with that project. It's a pretty substantial project, totaling about $50 million. But that presentation will be made by the company on October 28th.
Dr. Birch, will that be at 6:15?
I don't know
okay.
for sure, but I'm going to try to push it so that the Planning Commission doesn't have an overlap with us, because the Planning Commission at their meeting is looking at the preliminary plat of a 306-unit subdivision on Black Road that's behind the mall that's also inside the city. So if anybody wants to attend the Planning Commission meeting before that, they'll hear about the plat that's being planned out behind the mall on there for a 306-unit single-family subdivision.
Just in addition to that, I especially appreciate the whole focus on Epstein Park. As we move forward, we are marketing Arrowhead Park a lot more than we have in the past, because it's kind of sat with a lot of land there, and quite frankly, it could use a little boost. And I just think that taking care of that park and making that in a very attractive walking type of place in those woods, as you're going to learn here in the future, and maybe at that next special council meeting, that park will get used, and it's going to be an important piece of that whole, just enlarging that area and Maumee marketing that in a better way. So I really appreciate that vision, and with that, and any help, I'm certainly willing to help. I always am. But anybody that is willing to help is certainly a great contribution to the community and our future.
John, Rick, anybody out there? Julie?
So thank you. So now we need a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. I will move to go into executive session for pending litigation.
I'll second.
Second that. And we'll call the roll, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Pufferberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Thank you. This will really conclude the heart of our meeting, and we're just going into executive session for discussion. Thank you.
Motion to move out of executive section.
Second, we'll call the roll, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
We need to adjourn. We need to adjourn.
Thank you. We need a,
Scott's got it.
we need to call the roll on adjournment, please.
Fiskus?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Kurt? Lineback?
Yes.
Noonan?
Yes.
Puffenberger?
Yes.
Barrow?
Oh, you seem to.
Thank you. Thank you.